Let me present you with a scenario. It's finally your SAT test day, and you walk into the SAT testing room. You sit down at your seat, pull out your laptop, log into Bluebook, and wait for the administrator to give you your code. After an awkwardly long wait, they finally give you the code and you begin your test. You go through all of the questions one by one, answering them immediately without even having to think about the questions themselves. You finish the first English module in under 3 minutes and sit there waiting for the next module. The rest of the 3 modules are the same story. You just get through them immediately without having to think about any of the correct answers, yet you get them all correct. Afterwards, you open your score and you're unsurprised to see a perfect 1600. Okay, now obviously this is an unrealistic standard to hold yourself to, but I want you to think, what is actually holding you back from doing this? Obviously, it's not some law of physics that's holding you back. There's no secret hidden force keeping your finger from clicking on the right answer. There's no reason that you physically couldn't do this. You could do exactly what I just said, go to your SAT, select every correct answer, leave, and get a 1600. But of course, that's not how life works. So the important question is to ask yourself, what is actually holding you back from doing this? At least maybe not to the extent of not having to think about problems, but at least approaching that extreme. How can you get to the point where you could get through a test and not miss anything? So what's the restraint? Most people seem to think that it's a lack of knowledge, but here's the thing, the SAT is a standardized test. This means that everyone in high school who takes it at a reasonable pace of courses in high school should be prepared to answer every single question on the test. It's made so that nobody has an unfair advantage based on what classes they've taken. And here's the thing, it doesn't go past Algebra 2 in the math section, which 85% of you guys have completed by now anyway. So if it's not a lack of knowledge, then what else could it be? Well, let me put it like this. If I were to ask you to find the roots of the quadratic -x squared plus 3x plus 4, could you do it? Not too hard, right? Okay, well now what if I were to ask you to find the distance that a ball lands at if it's launched from a height of 4 feet at t equals 0 and it achieves a maximum height of 6.25 feet at t equals 1.5, and we assume that it follows a parabolic arc. Oh, and also you only have 1 minute and 35 seconds to answer it, or else your entire family disowns you, and everyone that you love thinks that you're a failure. Do you see how it's a little bit harder now? Funny thing is, these are the exact same problem. Look at the graph, they're exactly the same. So the thing that made that second situation harder was the way that the math was presented and the time pressure that you felt to answer it. And it's the same for the SAT. So in this video, that's exactly what we're trying to solve. I'm gonna walk you through the 3 biggest transformations that you need to go through depending on your current biggest bottleneck for your SAT score. The first transformation is from uninformed to informed, and this is for if your actual issue is just the content, like if you don't know how to do certain things on the SAT. The second transformation is from understanding in isolation to deeper understanding. And this is for if you know how to do everything on the SAT, but you just don't know how to do it in unique situations that are presented like on the SAT. And the final transformation is from inexperienced to experienced. And this is for if you know how to solve the problems, you know how to do it in unique situations, but you just get anxious and you can't do it under a time constraint on the day of the test. Okay, so the first transformation, from uninformed to informed. Your biggest problem right now is that you just don't know enough. So your goal right now is just to learn. Because think of it like this, if someone were to ask you to practice your golf swing, but you don't even know how to swing a golf club, there's no way that you're gonna be able to practice it. So before you can practice anything, learn the strategies to get better or faster at it, you have to learn how to actually do the thing first. So that's exactly what we're doing here. You're just learning the ins and outs of the SAT and what you can actually be asked to solve. Okay, so what's the method for this? The method is just to do easy practice problems. Now, as you're doing these problems, every single time that you get to a question that you don't know how to even approach, then you just look up the skill that you're being tested on. Now, if you don't know what specific skill you're being tested on just based off the question, literally just copy and paste the question into ChatGPT and say, what SAT skill is this testing? And then once you have that, plug it into YouTube, look up a video, learn how to do that skill. And then all you're gonna do is repeat this for tons of easy problems so that you learn how to do every single skill that you need to do on the SAT. At this point though, you're not gonna be able to do it in every format that they can show it to you with, but you know how to do everything that you need to know how to do. Now you may be wondering, where do you find the practice questions to do this? And what if you don't wanna look up every single individual skill? Well, the best solution is SAT Masterclass. So I went through the SAT prep process myself and I absolutely hated it. And so that is what inspired me to create SAT Masterclass. We have tons of easy practice problems for you to do this first transformation completely for free. And to learn the topics, you don't have to Google each individual topic. We have 29 lessons over the core concepts of the SAT. We have an entire course over Desmos mastery, all the math formulas you'll need to know for the SAT, and over every grammar grammar rule that you need to know for the SAT, plus a lot more. And we also have daily Q&A sessions so that you can ask questions about any skill that you're still not sure about. You can join completely for free without having to enter your credit card details or anything using this link right here on the whiteboard behind me. Okay, the next transformation is from understanding in context to deeper understanding. So your problem right now is that you know how to do everything you need to know how to do, but the second that you're presented with a unique situation that you haven't seen before, even if it's testing the same skill that you already know, you just completely fall apart and you don't know how to use what you know. So your goal here is to understand. So you've already learned, now your goal is to understand what you've learned. So your method here is to start doing the medium and hard practice questions. And constantly ask yourself, what core skill is being tested here that I already know how to do, but just it's presented in a unique format in this hard or medium question. So all you're really doing is just pushing the limits of concepts that you already know. For example, you might know that for right triangles, the sum of the squares of the two legs equals the square of the hypotenuse, which is just the Pythagorean theorem. But what if you put this triangle inside a circle of radius 1, with one of the acute angles stuck to the center of the circle, and the other on the edge of the circle? Then no matter where the acute angle is on the edge of the circle, the sum of the squares of the legs will always equal 1. Congratulations, you just discovered the most important identity to trigonometry, which is that sine squared plus cosine squared equals 1. So now you're just going to keep doing things like this until you get to a place where you have a deeper understanding of all the topics that you originally learned. Now, like before, I can't speak for other resources that you might use to try to do hard or medium problems, but what I can say is that in SAT Masterclass, we have over 4,500 practice problems, 2,500 of which are hard questions specifically, so you'll be able to really drill the harder stuff and see a bunch of unique situations that you could be presented with on the SAT. Now, the final transformation is from inexperienced to experienced. So here, your problem is that you know everything that you need to know. You even know how to do it in unique situations, and you have a deeper understanding of all the topics, but your problem here is that your abilities are hindered by your own anxiety. So your goal here is simply to practice. And the method for this, of course, is to take practice tests. So think of these practice tests like the scrimmage before your real game. They don't actually matter, but you have to pretend that they do and treat them like they do in order for them to actually help you with the real thing. As you go through these practice tests, you're going to adjust your study habits as you go, and be sure to focus on the things that give you the most anxiety or take you the most time during the practice tests. And really, your only goal here is just to get comfortable with the format, pacing, and time management parts of the SAT. Now, you can find practice tests all over the internet, but the only ones that I can really recommend are the ones that are in SAT Masterclass. We have 10 full-length practice tests available so that you can get completely comfortable with the testing format of the SAT. And that's it. Those are the 3 transformations that I think are the most important if you're trying to get that 1600. If you're looking for more SAT-related content, I invite you to subscribe to the channel, check out our other videos, and join our free community using the link in the description. I'll see you in the next video.